I think that this quest for perfection is in our culture. We want to be perfect dads, perfect moms, perfect husbands, perfect citizens, perfect workers, perfect anything. Because, and this perfectionism thing is sort of a drive in us that the only concept it knows is more, right? Always more achievement, more effectiveness, more accomplishment, and we think that as a result of that it'll yield personal satisfaction, but the reality is just the opposite occurs. Because rabid achievers, they may achieve some levels of success, but the reality is that it never brings fulfillment. There's a great story in the Gospels where Jesus, it kind of gives us a snapshot of this perfectionist named Martha. What happened was Martha and Mary, her sister, were invited to a lunch. And they had gone to, Jesus was invited to their house for lunch. And so they come there, and the Bible says that Martha was all distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. But her sister Mary is over on the sideline just enjoying Jesus and the disciples along with some of the other guests. And so Martha feels she's not getting close enough to perfection for the meal. And so she tries to solicit the help of Mary. And so Martha interrupts the conversation Mary's having with Jesus and says to Jesus, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her to help me." That's a direct quote from Luke. And Jesus responds, "Martha, you are worried and upset about many things." Boy, that captures a lot of us. I think you could say that to a lot of us. You are worried and upset about many things. He says, but there's only one thing needed here. He said, and honestly, this idea of being worried and upset about many things is capturing the idea of perfection in our lives. The idea that we want to make it the best every time. But Jesus says to Mary or Martha, chill out. And from this context, you get the idea that Martha's trying to prepare this huge meal because she wanted everything to be just right for Jesus. And you can get that. I mean, if you had the master that they understood him to be coming to your house over to eat, you would have probably wanted everything to be perfect, right? But Jesus told her that it didn't have to be perfect. It was lunch. He's basically saying to her, one thing's needed. Maybe a tuna fish sandwich or PB&Js, right? Not a huge gourmet multi-course meal. He was basically saying, Martha, relax, spend some time with us together. He wanted her to see that he valued human beings more than what human beings do. And so that's what I want to say to you. When you think about being a mom, you think about being a dad, you think about being engaged, he's not calling us to be perfect. In fact, one could argue on biblical grounds that we can never pull off perfect anyway. What matters is that we try and that we're open. It seems that God is after much more the relational aspect of our commitment than the perfectionism aspect of our commitment. Truth is, moms, you don't completely control the outcome of your home or the outcome or how your kids turn out completely. You don't. You play a role, but you don't completely control it. It's like doing a garden. The weather plays a significant role, but it doesn't play the only role. You got to have good ground. You got to have good seed. You got to hit the right season. And there's a bunch of stuff, or you got to make sure you don't have rabbits or bugs, right? You got to have a great everything, and the bugs come in and eat your stuff, and you don't have anything. But the reality is, you play a role. You can't sit around and be afraid or beat yourself because things don't come or don't happen perfectly. We're just glad you're in the room. Just be delighted that you're part of the process, and keep sharpening your saw. Try to do better. Try to understand your kids. All that stuff. Work on your stuff, but don't be plagued by perfectionism.